Hello, my name is Noah Adams, and I'm part of the group doing the project on gay and lesbian related suicide. And I'm here to talk about my own experiences with suicide. Um about 6 or 7 years ago, I was part of a project called the Alexandria Tucker Memorial Society. We cycled across Canada for trans and suicide awareness. Um, about a year before that, we did this because about a year before that, a very close friend had committed suicide. She was a trans woman, and I'm going to talk a little bit about her story. Uh, she had gone to Montana with her partner at the time to visit her partner's family, um, and she described that since she was a Newfoundlander, she kind of felt like she should attack things head on. She went and spoke to the ex-husband of her partner regarding some child custody things, and she went to tell him, um, I'm concerned about the welfare of the kids and that they need their father in their life, and I know that I've been kind of a sticking point, so I'm just going to back out of this, and you guys can figure out what's best for the kids. As she was walking away to get in her car, he pulled a knife and attacked her. Luckily for her, and unluckily, as you'll find out, she was a black belt in karate and was able to successfully defend herself. In the process, however, she, uh, I'm sorry, he sustained some minor cuts to his face. Um, so she got in a car and drove away, and as she was driving, uh, he had his friend get on the phone and call the police and say he'd been attacked. The police the police stopped her, pulled her out of her car, arrested her. She was denied access to a lawyer for about a day or two, um, after which she went to court. Um, and unfortunately, during the trial, she got a judge who she'd previously had in family court, and he took personal offense to the fact that she was trans, and felt that since she had appeared before in court dressed as a man because she didn't want to bias the custody hearing, and it was now obvious that she was trans, um, he felt that she had been intentionally misleading him and wanted to make an example of her, so he gave her about 10 or 15 years, which was the maximum he could have given her. She was sent to a Montana men's maximum security state penitentiary. For the first several weeks, she was put in the library, not for lack of cells, but because they didn't respect her as a human being, where various other male prisoners were led into the space, which I'm sure was very traumatic for her. There was no bathroom. She was forced to go on the floor. She did become a sort of a prison lawyer. She said that's what they were called. And she had the support of other prison lawyers, and she wrote tirelessly. Her goal was basically to make them so sick of her that they would repatriate her, which is what ended up happening. They loaded her up. They loaded her up in a police car. After about 2 years, they loaded her up in a police car and drove her up to the border in Alberta and dumped her off. There was no prisoner transfer. She wasn't put into the hands of any of the police. They just let her off at the border, and she had to make her own way home. She went back to what was her home at the time, Victoria, BC, and she went on to work for the University of British Columbia. She did take on... she continued her work in addressing the prejudice she faced in the American penal system. When she received information at all from them, from Freedom of Information requests, she received, I believe they call it document bombing. She would receive hundreds of thousands of documents where her name might have been mentioned in there once, which made it very difficult to find the necessary references. And about 6 or 7 years ago, as I mentioned, she decided that she had enough. She made several videos for her family and friends to let them know that it wasn't their fault. Her family and friends did try to stop her, but were unsuccessful. And that's the story to today. But I guess if I'm left with one thing, it's that no matter how hard you try to make sure people don't blame themselves, I think to an extent it's inevitable. And I guess if I have one thing to say, it would be that, things suck in life. That sometimes things are unbelievably horrible. But if this is all you get, I don't know. I mean, I just think that life is worth living, and that you should ask someone for help. And that's my story.